happens when a dictator who bombs civilians suddenly wants to talk peace? What does it mean when Ukraine builds factories for artillery, not in Europe, but right at the front line? And why is Hungary suddenly popping up in stories about espionage, fake invasions, and leaked plans for the war? Welcome back to The Gaze, where we break through this info, dive deep into frontline stories, and track the global tremors shaking around Ukraine. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on social media, and check out our site for real-time updates and exclusive content. It started like a poorly written Tarantino remake, only without the soundtrack and with significantly worse dialogue. Putin says he wants peace, Zelenskyy says he's ready, and then the world watches the Kremlin unravel in real time. I want to make peace and meet Zelenskyy in person. Good, I'll meet you in person. Nah, you won't. You should be afraid. Oh, I'll meet you. Nope, you're too afraid. Read my lips. I am ready. Let's do it. Nope. At which point anyone following the conversation and international diplomacy has every right to ask, what are you even talking about, Putin? Are you serious or just playing with your own echo? No answer. Just like that, Putin disappears, and his trusty spokesperson is willed out to repeat the usual monologue. Meanwhile, what's the so-called peacemaker actually doing? And well, he's doing what he always does. On the very day peace was being discussed, Russia launched one of the most aggressive air assaults in recent weeks, a barrage of 145 drones from 6 directions and a ballistic missile from occupied Crimea. At least 4 civilians were killed and 26 more injured. Fresh Russian strikes on May 14th killed people in Bereztok village, injured others in Pokrovsk, Kherson, and Rivne, and dropped munitions on moving cars in Kherson Oblast, leaving civilians with concussions and shrapnel wounds. And yes, in case it wasn't absurd enough, this was all happening after Putin publicly offered talks, then ghosted, then bombed. So here's a question for you. What do you call someone who starts an unprovoked war, turns cities into mass graves, kills children with cluster bombs, does it for 3 years straight, then pauses for 3 days to throw a ridiculous Victory Day cosplay with World War II veterans who'd have to be 110 to have actually served? And then, as soon as the parades are over, resumes bombing. All while posing for the cameras and calling for peace from the very country he's trying to destroy. Then, when Ukraine says, let's talk, this man, this dictator, this self-appointed Tsar, vanishes and responds not with diplomacy, but with 145 drones and missiles. Because terror is his only language, and panic is his only plan when someone calls his bluff. If the world has learned one thing by now, it's that Putin doesn't stop, unless he's stopped. That's why Ukraine and Europe aren't just talking about peace. They're building the tools to defend it. On the 13th of May in Madrid, Ukraine's state defense company Ukroboronprom and German defense titan Rheinmetall signed a new memorandum of cooperation, a major step toward establishing a joint artillery ammunition plant in Ukraine.
The full-scale war has proven the enormous demand for artillery shells, and the existing capacities are insufficient to fully meet this need. That's why every new ammunition plant, every new production line is critically important for supplying our forces. We must use every opportunity to build such capabilities. Ole Huliak, CEO of Ukrainian defense industry Ukroboronprom.
This isn't a new partnership. It's a deepening one. Back in 2023, the two companies launched a joint venture to repair damaged Western armored vehicles, with the first workshop opening in June of 2024. Since then, the repair time for tanks and military equipment has dropped significantly, allowing more units to return to the front line faster, And now they're moving from repair to full-scale production and doing it on Ukrainian soil. Earlier this year, in February of 2025, Zelenskyy met with Rheinmetall CEO in strategic dialogue that ultimately led to this new joint manufacturing commitment. But Germany isn't the only one stepping up. Also, on the 13th of May, one of Ukroboronprom's subsidiaries signed a cooperation agreement with Spanish defense manufacturer Escribano. The agreement includes joint repair and maintenance of Spanish combat modules, co-development of new systems, and even licensed production of those systems directly in Ukraine. And from France, more artillery. President Emmanuel Macron has confirmed that France will continue supplying Ukraine with heavy weaponry, including potentially all Caesar self-propelled howitzers, produced throughout 2025. These are battle-tested weapons already in use by Ukraine since May 2022. Known for their precision, mobility, and fast deployment, the Caesar systems are widely respected by Ukrainian artillery units. Production currently stands at about 12 units per month, meaning Ukraine could receive up to 144 Caesar howitzers this year alone. From Madrid to Paris to the front line, Europe is no longer just supporting Ukraine with statements. It's supplying tools, tech, and manufacturing right where they're needed most. And all of it sends one clear message. Ukraine is not waiting, it's preparing. While Russia leans on numbers, Ukraine bets on innovation. And now there's a new machine joining the fight. And it has 8 wheels and no fear. The Ministry of Defense of Ukraine has officially announced that Ukrainian forces are now deploying a domestically designed ground combat robot, known as the Spider. Developed by Ukrainian engineers with real-time battlefield experience in mind, the Spider was built to be compact, mobile, and highly adaptable. It's so transportable that, in fact, 2 of these robots can fit into the back of a single pickup truck. This new generation of ground robotics isn't just about automation. It's about giving Ukrainian soldiers safer, faster, more precise ways to operate under fire. From supply drops to reconnaissance to direct engagement support, the Spider is designed to move where human soldiers can't or shouldn't.
The Spider is designed with compact dimensions, allowing 2 robots to fit in the cargo area of a military pickup. This ground robotic platform weighs slightly more than 50 kilograms, yet it can carry a payload of up to 100 kilograms. The robots are equipped with 4 motors, enhancing the mobility and endurance of the ground robotic system in combat scenarios. Key features of the robotic platforms are their maneuverability, ease of control, ability to operate in areas exposed to enemy electronic warfare, and capacity to perform complex maneuvers in confined spaces. The Spiders can dynamically traverse steep slopes and operate at an angle. The battery charge lasts for several hours of continuous operation, from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine publication.
And while robots like the Spider are now bolstering logistics and tech operations, other frontline units continue to take on some of the toughest combat roles. Among them, the Artillerymen of the Rubizh Brigade, or Frontier in English. These crews operate multiple launch rocket systems designed to halt the advance of Russian armored units. They are among the first to spot, strike, and stop Russian assault brigades trying to break through Ukrainian defenses. They are the fire line, they are the wall, and they're not backing down. Our reporting team invites you to see the Spider in action and the Rubizh Brigade at work, holding the front line, one barrage at a time.
These are scenes of rocket artillery crews from the National Guard's Rubezh Brigade in action. Their area of responsibility is the Siversk direction. According to the servicemen, the situation here has recently escalated, with a sharp increase in Russian drone activity.
По нашому напрямку стало більше.
There's more enemy movement on our front now, more FPV drones. The enemy isn't standing still, they're constantly upgrading.
Here, the servicemen wait for their orders. Once the mission comes in, they deploy to firing positions. After completing the strike, they retreat and camouflage the launcher. Russian forces hunt them relentlessly.
Ворог використовує дуже багато.
The enemy uses a lot of FPV drones and reconnaissance drones. They track the vehicle, watch where it stops, and then adjust their fire accordingly. Lancets are used frequently. Lately, they've been equipping them not only with shrapnel but also shaped charges.
On board the vehicle, the crew has installed electronic warfare equipment to defend against drones. Still, with their combat experience, they know they can't stay long in any firing position.
Був випадок. Довго стояли.
Once we stayed a bit too long, firing at several targets. As we were pulling back, they started shelling us, but we managed to get out in time.
Ukrainian artillery do not let the enemy relax. Recently, a concentrated strike hit a cluster of Russian military equipment.
На розслабоні орки.
The orcs got careless. They parked their howitzers, a Mesta, and some APCs all in one place. Perfect target. We hit them hard.
The servicemen say Russian troops upgrade their drone systems nearly every month. The threat is constantly changing. There's no getting used to it. But resolve of the artillerymen from the Rubezh Brigade to defend Ukraine's independence hasn't wavered.
Що ми віримо? Так
What do we believe in? Rocket propulsion, the 4th Rubezh Brigade, and our victory. Glory to Ukraine.
слава Україні.
Reported by Alyona Gramova, Yevhen Karmazin from Donetsk region, UATV News.
This week's top disinformation story: a fake war. According to social media panic, Hungary is about to launch a military operation called Turul to reclaim parts of Ukraine. These claims came with shaky videos showing what looked like Hungarian armored vehicles near the Ukrainian border, fueling hysteria about an imminent invasion. But there's a catch. The Ukrainian Center for Countering Disinformation quickly confirmed that this so-called intel originated from an anonymous X account called Hungary Based, which is known for posting provocations about reclaiming Transcarpathia and restoring Hungarian borders. Let's be clear. This account has no connection to Hungarian media or government structures. And the now viral footage, it shows military vehicles during Ludovica Festival at annual Hungarian parade. Other clips are traced back to NATO's Adaptive Hazards 23 drills from November 2023. This isn't about Hungary gearing up for war. This is about Russia doing what it does best, spreading disinformation to divide Ukraine from its European neighbors.
Disinformation about the so-called Operation Turul, during which Hungary allegedly plans to regain some Ukrainian territories, is being spread on social media. In parallel with this news, videos of Hungarian armored vehicles allegedly being pulled up to the border with Ukraine are also being circulated. The Hungarian Ministry of Defense has already explained that the video of armored vehicles in Budapest circulating online is related to the Ludovica Festival, an annual public event. From the publication of the Center for Countering Disinformation on Telegram.
Because if Russia can't win on the battlefield, it will try to win in your Telegram feed. So the next time you see breaking, Hungarian tanks are rolling into Ukraine, maybe pause for a second and ask, who benefits? But while the so-called Operation Turul is fake, Hungary's foreign policy shift, that part is very real. An audio leak published by Hungarian opposition leader and European Parliament member Peter Madar reveals a very real internal agenda. The audio, allegedly from April 2023, captures Hungary's Minister of Defense talking about entering the zero phase of a path toward war. In it, he encourages building a combat-ready military and abandoning the peace mentality.
For years they've claimed to protect Hungarians, but now they're sacrificing public safety for power and profit. This is not a mistake. It's a crime. Peter Magyar, leader of the Hungarian TISA party.
The reaction? Orban's chief of staff tried to play it down, saying the remarks were normal and ordinary given the current global threats. He didn't say who exactly Hungary should be defending itself against. And that's the thing. When Hungary criticizes NATO, EU sanctions, and military aid to Ukraine as escalatory, but then quietly starts ramping up its own army, that's not neutrality, that's opportunism. It's also a now 15-year pattern. Since Viktor Orban came to power, Hungary has consistently positioned itself as a disruptive actor within Europe, flirting with Moscow, dragging its feet in Ukraine aid, and now apparently toying with military ambition. Call it hypocrisy, call it Orbanizing, but don't call it surprising, because Hungary, under Orban, hasn't been pro-Europe for years. And some critics argue it's no longer truly neutral either. So, when we said earlier that we're just saying about Hungary's disruptive behavior, turns out it's worse than we thought. On May 9th, Ukraine's security service officially announced the arrest of 2 Hungarian intelligence agents operating in Zakarpattia Oblast. Their mission? To collect classified information on Ukraine's regional defenses and to gauge local public sentiment in case Hungary ever attempted an incursion into Ukrainian territory. Well, both spies failed. They were caught. And their curator, identified as a current officer of Hungary's military intelligence, has been exposed. The captured agents are now facing charges of high treason under martial law, which in Ukraine can mean life in prison. In retaliation, Hungary expelled 2 Ukrainian diplomats, escalating tensions yet again. And of course, Prime Minister Viktor Orban couldn't resist jumping in, accusing Ukraine of interfering in Hungarian elections and framing the whole scandal as an attack on national sovereignty.
This has never happened before. The Hungarian opposition party is an active participant in a foreign intelligence operation launched against Hungary. Hungarian services are prepared. Neither Brussels nor Kyiv can decide the fate of the Hungarian people. Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, on Facebook.
Let's unpack that for a second. While Orban tries to derail European unity, disrupt sanctions policy, and block efforts to hold Russia accountable for its war, Brussels isn't standing still. Because as the scandal broke, the EU officially approved its 17th sanction package against Russia.
I welcome the agreement on our 17th sanctions package against Russia. We are further restricting access to battlefield technology, and we have listed an additional 189 Shadow Fleet vessels to target Russia's energy exports. This war has to end. We will keep the pressure high on the Kremlin, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission.
So, while Orban lashes out and plays the victim card, Europe moves forward. And no matter how complicated Hungary-Ukraine relations may be, we know this. The real Hungary is not what Orban represents. Hundreds of Hungarian volunteers continue to support Ukraine. Inside Ukraine, in border towns, in humanitarian hubs, and within Hungary itself. Those people represent the real spirit of Hungary, one of compassion, resistance, and solidarity. And Orban, he just represents Putin's agenda in European packaging. Let's not confuse the two. So, today we watched Putin disappear behind his drones after bluffing peace. We saw Europe double down on defense, not just talk, but tech and tools. We tracked Ukraine's new battlefield robot crawling into action. And we decoded how Hungarian scandals, from fake ops to real espionage, serve no one but the Kremlin. Ukraine isn't just fighting for itself, it's preparing for the long haul. and building real alliances along the way. What do you think? Will Hungary's people finally push back on Orban's double game? Is Europe doing enough? And what would you call Putin's peace offer? Is it a trap? Drop your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned for more with the gaze.